So I want to say something about my own cynicism. So part of my reason, my selfish reason, if you like, for getting people to talk to me about what they do, about their own types of hippie shifts, is because I'm kind of wanting to work against my own cynicism. I do find myself a little bit eye-rolly at things at times, and with mindfulness, I think one of the big cynicisms for me is kind of, I don't have time for that. I should be doing something more productive, more important than sitting on my arse noticing my breath. So that, I think that kind of, and I think it's partly about practicing self-care and not believing that sitting and being is a productive use of my time. But I think it's also about, believing that it's worth it. So how would you speak to my inner cynic, and just what would you say to cynics in general about mindfulness?
So your inner cynic, because I know you're a mindfulness practitioner, I know that you've practiced for a long time, and I know cynicism is still there to some extent from time to time. And what I would say is, stop trying to silence that cynic. Instead, just notice it and let it be. It's, instead of getting caught away with the cynicism, instead of getting carried away with the cynicism. So that's what I would say to you.
So the cynicism is just another... It's just another thought.
Yeah, it's another bit of data that's passing through your head in a given moment. And there will be other bits of data that are saying the opposite, or something totally different. So that's the first thing. So
it's choosing which voice to listen to.
To some extent, but create enough space so you can listen to all the voices without shutting any of them out. And
because the more I say, I don't want to be cynical, the more the cynicism creeps in, and then I get annoyed at myself for being cynical.
Yeah.
I can get very much into, I teach this stuff, and yet I'm still cynical. How on earth can I do this for a living?
One of the phrases used when I did my training with the Mindfulness Association, that the Mindfulness Association people will recognise, because it's not a Mindfulness Association tagline, it's a tagline for a type of footwear, is just do it, the Nike slogan, just do it. And that is part of what this is all about as well, in terms of answering the cynic. And what I would say to people is, you just do it because you believe in it. You believe in the benefits that will happen. And
so what would you say to the cynic, though, who's not entirely sure if they believe in it?
Well, there's two things I would say. But I want to go back to something else you mentioned first, because you talked about time. That thing we call time.
Wibbly wobbly time.
Wibbly wobbly timey wimey, as Doctor Who would call it. We've all experienced in the last year and a bit how time seems to really seem to pass in very strange and different ways in the middle of a pandemic. That some things seem to take a lot longer, and some things seem to just fly by in a moment. And mindfulness can actually give us more time. Practicing it can actually give us more time, because we spend less time ruminating, we spend less time worrying, we spend less time thinking about things, we spend less time multitasking and actually making mistakes and trying to do multiple things at once and not doing any of them as well as we could. Mindfulness helps us get things done, is one of the things I would say. There's a massive body of evidence showing the benefits of regular practice of mindfulness. And some of that relates to people meditating for 40,000 hours, which is a ridiculously long amount of time that I'm never going to reach, I don't think. Monks can do that. Most of us can't. If all you're going to do every day is meditate, then you can get that in. But it's going to take a lot of years. But there are also benefits that have been shown from just regular meditating for 10-15 minutes a day. Now, 10-15 minutes a day isn't a lot of time. In fact, 10 minutes a day for most people is approximately 1% of their waking day. 1% isn't a lot of time. Can you give 1% of your time to train your mind? We will spend more than 1% of our time cleaning our bodies because that's important. We'll spend getting on for certainly half of that time cleaning our teeth because that's important. We'll probably do more than that with physical exercise because that's important. We'll certainly do more than that eating because that's important.
And let's face it, we also do more than that on Facebook. I spend longer than that looking at cat videos.
But you never hear anybody turn around and say, I don't have time to brush my teeth, I don't have time to eat, I don't have time to wash.
Or I don't have time to look at cat videos.
I don't have time to look at cat videos. But as I said earlier, I go to a lot of networking meetings with businessmen in suits, and not one of them has ever turned around to me and said, I don't have time to wash. But many of them have said they don't have time to meditate. And I don't see myself, I quite often, recently I've been describing myself not as a meditation trainer, but as a personal trainer for the mind. You know, everybody knows what a personal trainer is. Lots of people get personal trainers. Everybody can go and run and jog and lift weights and stretch and do various bits and pieces with their bodies without hiring someone to show them how to do it, to keep them on track. But people who are really serious about their physical health, people who really want to make a change, they hire a personal trainer. And if you're really serious about your mental health, if you're really serious about being the best possible version of yourself, then you get a personal trainer for the mind as well.
So have you got any examples of people, maybe people that you've worked with, who have benefited from mindfulness?
Yes, a few. Recently someone started coming to some of our classes, and this might sound just like a bit of a throwaway line, but after about a week, she got in touch and she said, thank you to all of you for the sessions. This has been truly life-changing for me. And she's continued to come along to sessions ever since. And she was going through a difficult time in her life. So it was going back to that acceptance thing that I've mentioned earlier. You know, one of the things employers are accused of is trying to bring mindfulness in to get employees to accept unacceptable working conditions or poor working conditions. Through the practice of mindfulness, she realised that she was doing a job that didn't align with her values, that didn't align with what she wanted to do. It didn't mean accepting that she had to work there. It meant accepting that actually she needed to change her job.
So it's accepting that she wasn't going to be happy in the job she was in, so she had a choice, and the choice that she took was to leave.
And that's going to be better in the long run for her and for the employer. Employers don't want disgruntled staff who slag them off in the pub when you can go to the pub. So that was one person. Another person on a course that I delivered for a very large multinational. One of the participants afterwards said that they had started taking control of their lives in a way they didn't think was possible, and that over the course of the program they'd started reducing their panic attack medication.
Wow. And
were now free of using that medication.
That's amazing.
And it's those little individual stories. Another one, a course that you and I both delivered, a 3-hour workshop, Introduction to Mindfulness, that people came to for a public sector organisation. And the feedback at the end, one of them wrote, and this person was in their 50s, was in a fairly senior position in the organisation, and they wrote, this is the most valuable course I've done in my whole career. This course should be compulsory for all staff in this organisation. Never has become that, sadly, but that it's, the people find that it changes how they view their life. It changes how they view their world. There are countless other examples I could share around people saying it's helped them with their physical situation, it's helped them manage physical situations like pain more effectively. That it doesn't stop the pain, but bit like my experience. It doesn't stop the pain, but by not getting overwhelmed and focusing just on the pain, they're able to open up to everything else that's positive in their life.
Well, I've certainly found that. I mean, and it links in. So part of mindfulness is the practice of gratitude.
Yeah.
And actually noticing that there is more to life than the thing that I'm finding really difficult, whatever that thing is. And of course, the cynic might kind of go, oh, you know, it's looking at everything through rose-tinted glasses. It's being a Pollyanna.
Mm.
Probably people wouldn't say that now because that's quite a dated reference. But actually, I've really seen that no matter how difficult things are, I am able to recognize and be aware of something pleasant and something that I can appreciate. And I think that's huge.
Yeah, and the way we view the world is based on the stuff that we retain, the stuff that we take notice of, and the stuff that we remember. And we remember stuff by paying some prolonged attention to it, whether that be neuroscientists talk about 19 seconds, talk about 12 seconds. Nobody's quite sure exactly how long before it starts getting retained in the longer term memory. But our perception of the world, you know, we all perceive our world through slightly different lenses. Mm. We all, our experiences shape how we view the world. And there's a neuroscientist called Rick Hanson who talks about the brain or the mind being Velcro for the negative and Teflon for the positive.
Yeah.
We hold on to the negatives. We replay the negatives. We try and rewrite history or come up with versions of what would have happened if only I could go back in time and say that instead or do that instead. We tell everybody when something bad has happened to us, it ruined my day. And we tell people all about it. We tell lots of people about it. When something positive happens, unless it's a big thing, you know, I've passed my exam, I've got this qualification, I've won the lottery, I've done this, I've got a real job. Most of the little achievements, most of the positives that happen every single day, the achievements that happen all the time, that we just take for granted. We don't tell anyone about it. We don't talk about it. We don't spend any time appreciating it. A simple thing like the beauty of a rainbow. How often do we really spend time just looking at it and then replaying how beautiful that was, or telling people, I saw this lovely rainbow? And this is where the hippie shit comes in.
Well, I would say this is where the cynic comes in, because as soon as you said that, I felt myself recoil and just think, what would people think if I, you know, was out socially and went, you'll never guess what, I saw a beautiful rainbow the other day.
Yeah.
You know, it's not how we talk, but why isn't it?
I don't know, and I think there are elements where things are maybe changing a little bit with that. Because, okay, maybe rainbow, maybe that's just a little bit too up in the air, literally. As well as metaphorically. But animals. How obsessed are people with pictures? You posted. We did an event recently, and we took some photographs of some geese with their cygnets, and loads of people liked it.
No, it was swans.
Swans with their cygnets.
Swans with cygnets, geese with goslings.
Geese with goslings, swans with cygnets. There was all of that. There was also moorhens with.
We would get people writing in.
We would get people writing in. Okay, I do apologise for my ignorance of the. Anyway, the point though is people love it. People love seeing, and people share those pictures, and people like those pictures. We shared pictures of the swans with cygnets, and people liked them. We also showed a picture of me leading a meditation.
You're not as cute as a cygnet.
Teardrop in the rain. Nobody noticed it. I'm not as cute as a cygnet. That's possibly true. But we can. There are little things. That's the point I'm making. There are little positives. There are little things that you can say. You can, when you go out, say, I was at the park and I saw a squirrel, I saw this, I saw that, and people won't think that's hippie or weird necessarily.
I saw a heron the other day.
Mm-hmm. But more often we'll go and say, I went in the park.
There was so much litter.
There was so much litter, or there was people, pretend to be fishing, but actually they were just getting together to deal and smoke joints. Or when I got back home, I ended up with duck shit all over my carpet. The negatives sound so much more fun to talk about.
Yeah.
And we retain that.
Yeah.
And the more we retain it, the more negative our world becomes. So if we don't have to talk about it necessarily, we can just write it down. Spend some time writing down things, remembering things, taking photographs of things that are positives, that you appreciate, that you like. The good things that are happening, there's always positives, always. Doesn't mean you ignore the negatives, but there's always positives. I've got a pain in my side right now because of the Crohn's, but I'm also very comfortable sitting on this chair. I'm warm. The rest of my body feels perfectly fine. I can focus on the pain, or I can allow it all to be there.
So, I've taken up quite a lot of your time, and thank you very much. What would be some final thoughts that you'd like to share?
There are a number of attitudes that we bring to mindfulness practice, and I think one of the big ones for me in terms of the name of this show, in terms of what this is all about, the Cynics guy, is the ability to let go. Let go of what you think you know and just see what happens. Let go of what you think mindfulness is and just try it and see what happens and give it a little bit of time.
So top advice for any cynics out there: let go of what you think mindfulness is and just give it a go.
Yeah.
So Mark Sidney, thank you very much for joining me.
Rachel Jones-Webb, thank you very much for inviting me.